There we go. Recording in progress. Yay. Okay. Let's share out this here screen. Is the one we want. Okay. We are going to talk about, if I could pull up the rest of my stuff, I had it, thought it was already organized. Okay, so we're going to talk about BitHarvest today. And in specific, we're going to talk about BitBooster that mines Bitcoin for us, and I'll walk you through how it does that. And but we're going to talk about a little bit of stuff first, just so I can kind of be all talking on the same page, you know what I mean? That way, when I say words, we're all going, oh, I understand what those words mean. Briefly, to get out of the rat race, you have to have your expenses less than your passive income. As in, you need to have your passive income greater than your expenses, because your passive income allows you to get out of the rat race, allows you to be self-aware, allows you to be self-efficient. Okay, to do that, the difference between employees and middle-class people is their propensity to buy doodads as opposed to buying assets. Okay, and doodads cost you money. It's an expense every month. Sometimes if you have a mortgage with the bank or something like that nature, a loan, that is an expense that they call an asset because they make money from you every month. You want to have assets working for you. Self-employed, same situation where you're trading dollars for time, and they're just better at it, and it's a little bit bigger business, and it's small business, but they've got possibly employees and contractors and dentists, lawyers, accountants, those kind of people sitting here. In big business is a system, and regular people like you and me, we can buy a system, like a franchise, like McDonald's or Tim Hortons or something like that. And we want to go into this category right here. Each category, as you go down the list, you make better income, you pay less taxes, and when you get in here is where you are really understand the process of having your money working for you. Okay, so your active income is salary, so like your daily, what you make. If you get injured or something happens and you don't work a day, you also don't get paid that day. Okay, and so this is active income. Your passive income is things that happens that you've got control over, like you've got control over your assets that are working for you. Okay, so for example, if you have a house, it's not an asset until it's working for you. You convert that house into an Airbnb, and now it's working for you. Now it is an asset, and it makes you money. And so this rent, dividends, okay, type stuff, and all of that passive income, when it's greater than your expenses, that sets you free. That's what makes financial independence, is your passive income is greater than your expenses. Okay, and so that's what we are going to talk about more specifically now. Is I alluded to it, is investments. Okay, and what is the best asset class of any asset that's out there? The best is Bitcoin. And why is that? And I will explain. Bitcoin is the best asset class. But first, isn't it interesting that countries like USA, China, UK, Ukraine, Bhutan, El Salvador, Finland, a bunch of other countries as well, they own lots of Bitcoin? Why is that? Okay. People, really renowned people, they own lots of Bitcoin. Like Satoshi Nakamoto, Binance, MicroStrategy, Galaxy Digital, Square One, Tesla, okay, BlackRock. These are banks and companies that own Bitcoin. Why is that? Why do they own it? Okay. The problem with is they will tell you one thing and do something else. Okay, so we've got countries that own Bitcoin. We've got companies that own Bitcoin. We've got corporations that own Bitcoin. Like these are significant things. Why would banks and countries own Bitcoin but tell you that you can't? Tell you that you shouldn't? Is because they want to make money. They're not your friend. That's the most important thing. Flat out, full stop. They want to make the money and they are not your friend. Okay. Bitcoin has been the top asset of all assets in any asset class, the top 8 of the past 11 years. Okay. So the reason why countries own Bitcoin, the reason why corporations own Bitcoin, the reason why well-known people own Bitcoin, like Michael Saylor or Robert Kiyosaki as an example, the reason why they own Bitcoin is because it's the top asset in the class, of any class. It's the top asset, okay? And what's significant about Bitcoin is the price of Bitcoin is going up. So when it started off, 8-10 years ago, Bitcoin was one Bitcoin for $200 as an example, okay? And it goes up in price, and it goes up in price again, and it continues going up in price. The pathway over time is simply up in price. It does have downturns. It does have downturns, and that's okay. It doesn't matter because the overall picture is up in price. So experts like Michael Saylor, like Robert Kiyosaki, like Cathie Wood, all of these people own Bitcoin, and they advocate for Bitcoin because Bitcoin is the best asset to own. So if you look at the market cap over the past, the top 10 market cap, okay, Bitcoin in the past 8 years has gone from nothing to 10th in the market cap, okay? And so it's going up. We've had gold in our possession for thousands of years. Gold is a really good way to store your wealth. It's a really good way. Silver is another really good way to store your wealth over long term. Bitcoin is the best way to store your wealth over long term. Let's talk about that for a second. Why is Bitcoin the best way to store your wealth over long term? Bitcoin it's a finite amount, okay? There's only so much Bitcoin that can ever be mined, so much Bitcoin that ever can be created. There will be distribution of Bitcoin going back and forth between individuals for many, 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 many hundreds of years. But Bitcoin can only be produced for the next 200 years, okay? Every 4 years, the Bitcoin amount that is being produced is halved. So it has a scarcity compared to the demand. So scarcity versus demand. As that scarcity goes down, the demand for it also, by the way, goes up. So it's a perfect methodology to process, to have transactions which can go from me to him, from him to her, from him to anyone. It doesn't matter. Transactions can be transacted. This is how the banking system works. You have an account at the bank, and the bank says, yep, this is what your account is. If you want to transfer to him, it has to go through the bank, okay? And the bank often will take their fee, especially if it's out of country, okay? And they take exorbitant fees because they're the bank. They want to make money. The way Bitcoin works is every single network, every single computer on the network has to agree that this Bitcoin was moved from this person to that person. All of the other computers will agree. They go through a mathematical computation and they go, oh, yep, that piece of Bitcoin was moved from here to there, or moved from here to there. This is a peer-to-peer network. And so every computer communicates with all of the other computers. And so there's no possible way to duplicate Bitcoin without all the other computers agreeing. You may be able to take over one computer. Maybe you can take over 2 computers, but there's no possible way that you can take over all of the computers on the network and deceive all of the computers into believing that this piece of Bitcoin that you have is real. There's no possible way to do it, okay? Bitcoin also cannot be destroyed because there's no possible way for every single computer on the network to be destroyed. Let's think about that for a second. If all of the computers in the world are destroyed, it means we're in the dark ages. We also have no banking. We also have no electricity. We also have no government. So yeah, it's just not going to happen. And if it is going to happen, well, that's a very sad day, and it won't matter because we'll all be dead because we got nuked. Okay. So this is really significant information on why Bitcoin is so important, why it's the best asset to own and is the best asset to store wealth. Bitcoin can be transferred anywhere to anywhere in the world instantaneously. It takes very, very short time to move it from here to there or to there to there. Doesn't matter. And it's not very expensive. Now, the not very expensive is significant because that is called gas fee. And that gas fee I'll talk about in a moment. Okay. But the gas fee is important because that's part of where we get our money by mining Bitcoin. So the last another reason why Bitcoin is the best asset in the world to own is because it's a perfect place to store wealth. Compared to other commodities, they don't have a good storage of wealth compared to Bitcoin. So the more Bitcoin that you acquire, the better you are years down the road. Okay. So let's talk about how Bitcoin is mined. Okay. Bitcoin mining. This is what we're going to talk about right now. How you can acquire more Bitcoin in your pocket every single day. A little bit of Bitcoin arrives in your pocket, a little bit more Bitcoin. It's as if you've got a miner out there in the backyard digging for Bitcoin. It's like digging for gold. Okay. But what that miner is it's a machine. Okay. It's an electronic machine. It's just a computer. But the computer, what it does to mine Bitcoin is the Bitcoin is, this is an intellectual graphic of representational graphic of movement of Bitcoin in the marketplace right now. Okay. So every single one of these blocks falling down is a value, an amount of Bitcoin. The bigger squares are more Bitcoin. The smaller squares are less Bitcoin. And we can look at one of them and go, okay, that's how much Bitcoin that transfer was. Okay, $433. This one was $30,000. Okay, you get the idea? This one was $109,000. It doesn't matter the amount of Bitcoin that's transferred from one place to another. That transfer fee is what is paid to the miners. Okay, so these are the miners. They look like this. These are the miners. And what it does is every time there's movement in the network, this is movement, the miner has to pick that up, does a mathematical computation, and then posts that, yes, Bitcoin was moved from place A to place B. We agree. Okay. And that's how the mining is done. And the miner that comes to that resolution first is then awarded that fee, the transaction fee, the gas that we just spoke about a moment ago. And so the gas is then paid to the miner. The way it's paid to the miner is it's put into the VPN mining pool. Okay, it's put there, and that's where the miner can pull it from when they want to. Also, the second aspect of mining is this block of Bitcoin every 10 minutes is then revealed. Okay. And so that Bitcoin that is then revealed is also dumped into the mining pool. And what that does is it creates Bitcoin right then, and it's put into the mining pool. Okay. And every 4 years, that amount of Bitcoin that is produced is halved. It's called the halving. And that the halving is why the process of mining is becoming more and more complex, harder and harder to generate, to get to the end of the equation to produce this Bitcoin. Is every 4 years, half of it is then only is produced, and it's becoming more difficult to generate. Okay, and so this becomes a problem for miners. Is they've got an exorbitant amount of electricity costs. They've got it costs about $10,000 to create the mining operation, about $10,000. And you get about $5 a day after that. But you have to pay gas and you have to pay upgrading costs to keep your hardware working. And as your hardware continues to work, over time, the hardware becomes less effectual because newer hardware is more efficient. I'm going to talk about this new hardware. This is a bit booster, okay? And what a bit booster does is it increases the efficiency for the mining pool. I'll explain how. So the bit booster becomes the intelligence behind the miners. And what it does is it detects on the network, we already talked about this, it detects movement on the network, and it evaluates all the different movement that's going on. And it goes, oh, well, that's a really easy job. I'll give that one first. Oh, that's a little bit harder. Oh, that one's a little bit harder. And that one's a little bit harder. And so it gives the easiest jobs first to the miners so they can process them a lot faster. And those jobs that are fake jobs, that are not real jobs, the miner doesn't know it's not a real job until it gets to the end of it and it doesn't have a solution to the problem, okay? And so you want the miners to be able to produce the jobs faster. So for example, it'll do an apple, and then it'll do a banana, and then it'll do an orange, and then it'll do a pineapple. Pineapple's last because you have to use a knife to get into it, okay? And so this boosts the speed at which the resolution for each answer is coming to, because the booster provides this information to the mining machine first of all, and then the mining machine just simply processes it, okay? There's some specs for you to read about the miner itself, okay? So if you were to do the mining, the booster itself resides at Kuala Lumpur in the head office, okay? It doesn't sit here on my computer. I don't have to worry about the USBs. I don't have to worry about the internet connection. I don't have to worry about configuring and having a VPN and all that sort of stuff. There's a VPN connection and from our head office for the boosters to be able to connect to the miners, okay? And what they do is with that connection, they churn away and they produce this Bitcoin as a result. Over the past 4 months, the amount of Bitcoin that we have produced is 100 Bitcoins. As an example, on the 26th of June, we reached 100 Bitcoins. As a result of reaching 100 Bitcoins, the Bitcoins are shared out to us, okay? And just to show 100 Bitcoins, what that looks like, okay? So 60 Bitcoins, 60% of the Bitcoins went back to the miners. 30% of the Bitcoins go to us, the booster owners, and 10% of the Bitcoins go to the mining BitHarvest, the mediator between us. What this happens is people, well, if this is such a great idea, why is it that the mining companies don't just buy boosters themselves? Because they've already put out $10,000 per rig that they're using. And so they've already dished out $10,000. They've got a mining machine that's working for them. And by signing a contract with us, there are 3 companies that have done so far, they've got no extra cost, no additional cost whatsoever. And they go, what? There's no additional cost? And we can share in the profits, and it lowers their electricity because it's more efficient, and it increases the proficiency of it because of the process. And they go, yeah, sure. And they hop on. And this is how one of the jobs that we got, one of the contracts that our CEO, Logan Lee, was out on the floor at one of the expos, and a mining company guy comes up and talks to him, and he goes, hey, tell me all about this. And so he did, and they jumped on board right then. Here's an output for the past 4 months, okay? So let's compare if you have 1 Bitcoin, okay? If you have 1 Bitcoin sitting in your pocket, the only thing that'll happen is the price may go up, the price may go down, but it generally goes up. So over the next 5 years, the price of that Bitcoin right now, we've got $60,000, they said. And over the next couple of years, it'd be $100,000, $1 million, very easily, okay? And that's great. You've got 1 Bitcoin that's sitting in your pocket doing that, okay? Now, if you decide to buy 70 boosters with that 1 Bitcoin, You've got 70 assets working for you in your back office, in your pocket, okay? Every day mining Bitcoin for you. And it produces about 1.823 Bitcoins a day, a year. So at the end of the year, you'll have 70 boosters and 1.823 Bitcoins. The next year, you'll still have 70 boosters and another 1.823 Bitcoins. The third year, still 70 boosters and 1.823 Bitcoins. You get the idea that you've got an asset that's working for you, producing you Bitcoin, mining you Bitcoin, making you Bitcoin every single day, as opposed to simply sitting on it and it does nothing. Or even worse, you're spending it on doodads and you're buying stuff. Come on, you're buying stuff with it. You're wasting your money, okay? Just to compare opening a BitHarvest business compared to a regular business, okay? $50,000. My niece bought a dentistry firm just a couple of years ago. She probably paid 3 times that much. I'm not sure how much she paid. And she's got a monthly bill as a result. But let's just call it $50,000 for fun, okay? $50,000, monthly cost, $1,000, monthly income, $1,000, yearly income, $12,000, okay? Whereas if you buy 50 boosters, that's $50,000. One time, there's no extra price. There's no extra cost. It's a one time, and it pays you $200 a day, pays you $6,000 a month, pays you $72,000 a month. Okay. Let's compare it to real estate for fun. Okay. You buy some real estate. Real estate's a great way to make money. It really is. You can buy one property for $100,000, or you could buy 10 properties, 100 properties, doesn't matter. You've got to fix them up. You've got to advertise. You've got weekly, monthly, yearly prices. And who knows when you're going to get clients in? Who knows when you'll rent it out? Who knows if you're going to sell it or when, at what price? Okay. I've done this. Managing tenants is not fun at 3 o'clock in the morning. Okay. Your monthly estimated, after your expenses, $500. Yeah, that's about real. Yearly income, $6,000. Same price, $100,000. You could buy 100 boosters. Daily income, $400. Monthly income estimated, $120,000. Yearly estimated, $144,000. Again, this is a no-brainer, okay? You get paid in Bitcoin every single day because it's mining Bitcoin for you. It's adding it to your pocket. You have to sit down and go, you know what? At what point in time does it make a difference in my life? The price. What price makes it different in my life where I can be financially stable, where I don't have to go to a job every single day and have those stresses. And if I miss a day, I don't make the income. At what point make a difference? Is 50 cents a day going to make a difference to you? Is $5,000 going to make a difference to you? It's simply math. That's how many boosters you need to get. If you want 30 to $50 a day, 10 boosters. You want 300 to $500 a day, 100 boosters. It's simple math because it's doing a job for you and it's working for you. Okay. And no other place can I think of that you can give yourself a raise anytime you want. You want a raise? Buy a couple more boosters. And all of a sudden, you've increased the amount of your wage by whatever you increased. Okay. This is truly passive income. Passive. This is passive income. You're making assets work for you. Here is a picture of the office in Kuala Lumpur. We have very short time left in this call. And what's going to happen is the call will end and we'll just jump on the same Zoom afterwards and I'll answer questions. Okay. In every single, this little rack here, every single one of these little racks, there's 20 boosters. Okay. There's a couple of thousand boosters in this office, in this room alone. There are 3 offices like this in Kuala Lumpur in different parts of the city for disaster recovery. Okay. Just put this out of the way so I can see better. And here's another picture of the office that I want to show you. So what I'm going to do is stop the share at this point in time because we're almost done. Well, there's 6 minutes left. Yeah. So this company. So talk about the booster. So one booster costs $1,000. Okay. Or you can break the booster into tenths. So 1/10 of the booster. 1 share is $100. It's not a problem. At $100, the booster will pay you up 50 cents a day. Okay. I just opened that up to share, and then I realized I'd closed off my share. That's okay. I'll just leave it then. Okay. Well, actually, let me put that picture back up there so you can see it. And what I'll do is I'll open the floor for questions. I'll turn off the recording, and that way people can ask questions and feel like they're not spaces being invaded or something like that. However, I'm not seeing it. So